Hi students, welcome to the science class. In last session, under the chapter of tissues, we studied about the plant tissues. What are plant tissues? What are the types of the plant tissues? That are nothing but that is permanent tissues, and another one is meristematic tissues. Under the meristematic tissues, we studied about the different types of the meristematic tissues, that is apical meristematic tissues, lateral meristematic tissues, intercalary meristematic tissues, isn't it? And also we discussed about the permanent tissues, another one type of the plant tissues. That are under that two types we are going to see, that is simple permanent tissue and a complex permanent tissue. And under that simple permanent tissue we studied about sclerenchyma, collenchyma, parenchyma. These are the types of the simple permanent tissue, and also we studied the types of the complex permanent tissue as xylem, phloem and protective tissues. These are the all we are studied in last session about the tissues, about the plant tissues. In today's session we are going to continue the study of the tissues, but in this class we are going to study the different types of the animal tissues. So what are animal tissues? What are the types of the animal tissues? That are nothing but epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues and nervous tissues. And also we discuss now in this session the types of the types of the epithelial tissues, types of the connective tissues, types of the muscular tissues and types of the nervous tissues here. See, the human beings are, I am considering human beings are us. So when we are going to breathe, we inhale the oxygen, and that oxygen will be goes towards our body. That oxygen will mix up with the blood which is present in our body, and that blood carries oxygen towards all the cells. Why it carries the oxygen towards all the cells? As you know, as already studied, so as you already studied, the mitochondria carries the oxygen to produce the energy, isn't it? So these are all some of the activities, living activities are going to be done in our body with the help of the cells. But a similar one cell are the only some cells are not going to be make that activities, are going to be follow in that activity. Some of the different types of the cells are going to be followed, or they are going to make their works, different types of the work. Yes, for example, I am considering the blood. It is contains number of cells, as I told already, the group of the cells which they are going to form a similar type of the work, then it is called it as a tissue. Blood, it is a type of a tissue which is present in our body that performs work, that is a transportation of the minerals, transportation of the oxygen, transportation of the carbon and also transportation of the waste materials towards all parts of our body. So in this session we are going to study that different types of the tissues, which are the different types of the tissues present in our body and what the work they are going to perform. So the animal tissues are classified based on the work of the tissues. The animal tissues are going to be classified into four types. Those are epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues and nervous tissues. You have to remember here epithelial tissues, epidermis, epidermal tissues that we studied already in the plant tissues. They provide security, or they provide the outer covering, isn't it? They provide the protection. Therefore that like epithelial tissues, that like epidermal, they are going to call it as epidermal tissues in the plant tissues. But the tissues which is present in the animals, which gives us the protection, that are called it as epithelial tissues. The word itself says here epithelial. And under one type here, connective tissues. The connective tissues that connects all the cells of our body to the another cell of our body. And muscular tissues, these are help for the muscular activities. And the nervous tissues, the nervous tissues carries the informations here. So now we are going to study one by one what are epithelial tissues, what are the types of the epithelial tissues and what are the functions they are going to carry. Epithelial tissues, the covering or a protective tissue in the animal body are epithelial tissue. As I told already, the epithelial tissues are nothing but they are the protective tissues which are present in the animal body. The covering or the protective tissues in the animal body are epithelial tissues. These are present in the skin, the These are present in the skin and in the lining of the mouth, lining of the blood vessels, and the lining of the lungs, lining of the alveoli and the kidney tubules. So these protective tissues which are present in our body, they are present in the skin, they are present in the skin, they are present in the lining of our mouth, and also they are present in the lining of the blood. The blood will be carried from somewhat lining is present that in that lining, and also they are present in the lining of the lungs, lining of the alveoli and the lining of the kidney tubules. These are tightly packed to form a continuous sheet. See here, these are tightly packed. These tissues having the cells, they are tightly packed. For example, our skin, I am taking the example here. This skin contains epithelial tissues. This is a tightly packed. Is it any holes are present here? So there is no holes are present here. That's for these skin protects the loss of the materials from our body, isn't it? Therefore these tissues are called as a epithelial tissues. There are different types of the epithelial tissues are present in our body. Those are simple squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium tissue, columnar epithelium tissue. There are three types of the epithelial tissues we are going to see in the animal body. Those are simple squamous epithelium tissue, cuboidal epithelium tissue, and another one is columnar epithelium tissue. Now we see where they are present. First one, it is simple squamous epithelium tissue. These are present in the body where transportation of the substances occurs with the help of the semi-permeable membrane. These are present in the body where the transportation of the substances occurs with the help of the semi-permeable membrane. For example, as I told already, the blood it is one of the important tissue which performs the which performs the work as the transportation. So the blood, it is a one type of the simple squamous epithelium tissue here. So these simple squamous epithelium tissues are generally in a fluid form. Why? Because they carry the function of transportation. Therefore generally they are in the form of liquid or in the form of jelly like structure they have. Why? Because they carries the transportation. These are present in the lining of the mouth, esophagus, lungs and alveoli, etc. So these are present in the lining of the mouth, esophagus, alveoli, lungs, etc. Why? Because they are present here because they want to supply the minerals or the food materials. They want to transport the materials from the body to the towards all the cell of our body. So these simple squamous epitheliums are going to be seen in, they are present in lining of the mouth, lining of the esophagus, lungs and alveoli. And the function of these squamous epithelium or a simple squamous epithelium tissue, it is nothing but transportation. The second type of the epithelium tissue, it is nothing but cuboidal epithelium tissue. Cuboidal epithelium tissue. The name itself says the cells which are present in the cuboidal epithelium tissues has a cubic structure. See here, these consist of cube-like cells. That's why it is called it as a cuboidal epithelium tissue. These consist of cube-like cells. These are present in the lining of the kidney, tubules, ducts of the salivary glands. So these cuboidal epithelium tissues are present in the lining of the kidney tubules and the ducts and the salivary glands. So these are present in that organs. And what is the function of these cuboidal epithelium tissues? Its function is secretion and absorption. See here, these cuboidal epithelium tissues are present in the salivary glands and these are present in the kidney tubules and these are present in the lining of the ducts. So in the lining of the ducts, in the lining of the kidney tubules, the oxygen supply, the water supply, that will be supplied by the transportation of the blood here. The blood contains some of the food materials, waste materials, oxygen material and carbon. So that will be absorbed by the kidney ducts and the kidney ducts and the kidney tubules with the help of the cuboidal epithelium tissues which are present in the kidney tubules. So it is one of the function of the cuboidal epithelium tissue. And another one it secretes, secretion and absorption here. So it absorbs the materials from the blood, and secretion here, it secretes some of the hormones because these are present in the salivary glands. When it is present in the salivary gland, then the function of this cuboidal epithelium tissue, it secretes its hormone. So it is under one type of the epithelium tissue. Now I am consider under one third type of the epithelium tissue, that is nothing but columnar epithelium tissue. It consists of elongated or a column-like cells. As I told already, the cuboidal epithelium tissues consist of a cube-like cells, then it is called as a cuboidal epithelium tissue. Columnar epithelium tissues consist of elongated long column-like cells. Therefore, it is called as a columnar epithelium tissue. And these are present in the lining of the intestines and the guts. These are present in the lining of the intestine, that is in the small intestine and in the large intestine. And what is the function of these columnar epithelium here? So when these are present in the lining of the small intestine and the lining of the large intestine, so in that cases, in the small intestine and the large intestine, the absorption of the food materials or the secretion of the some of the hormones going to be done in here. So the function of the columnar epithelium, it is also secretion and absorption of the food materials. This is all about the one type of the animal tissue, that is nothing but epithelial tissues. So epithelial tissues, there are three types of the epithelial tissues are present, that are: one, it is simple squamous epithelium tissue. Second one, it is cuboidal epithelium tissue. Third one, it is columnar epithelium tissue. Now I am consider second type of the animal tissue, that is nothing but muscular tissue. Sorry, I am considering the connective tissue. Second one, it is connective tissue. Connective tissue. These are specialized tissues to connect various body organs. As the name of the tissue says here, the connective tissue. These are the specialized tissues to connect various body organs. See here, the connection of the tissues from the eye towards all parts of our body, the connection of the leg from the all parts of our body, these tissues connects the various parts of body organs. And there in that connective tissues also we are going to see different types of the connective tissue. That in the under that first type of the connective tissue, it is nothing but areolar tissue. So these areolar tissues are found in the skin, muscles around the blood vessels, nerves, etc. These areolar tissues are found in the skin and muscles around the blood vessels and the nerves. We are going to see these areolar tissues. What is the function of these areolar tissues? These supports for the internal tissues and helps to repair the tissues. So these are present around the blood vessels, these are present around the skin, these are present around the nerves. Therefore the function of this areolar tissue, it supports for the internal tissues, it gives the support to the internal tissues and helps to repair the tissues and it helps for the repairing of the tissues. And another one type of the connective tissue here, that is nothing but adipose tissue. Another one type of the connective tissue, it is nothing but adipose tissue. These are found between the internal organs and below the skin. So these adipose tissues are present in between the internal organs and below the skin. These are present below the skin, between the internal organs. These are present in between the skin and the internal organs. And what is the function of these adipose tissues? These acts as a storage site for the fats. See here, these acts as a storage sites for the fat. large amount of the storage will be deposited below the skin, and also this acts as a insulator for the body. See here, this acts as the insulator for the body. So as the fat will be stored below the skin, and that will be acts as an insulator, therefore these adipose tissues acts as a insulator for our body. So now I am going to explain the another one type of the connective tissue, that is nothing but a dense regular connective tissue. So these are very elastic tissues which connects the two bones and call them as a ligaments or the tendons. See here, these are the very important tissues. These are very elastic tissues which connects the two bones. These are present at the connection of the bones. These dense regular connective tissues are present at the connection between the two bones, and these are called as ligaments and tendons. That connections, that tissues which are present in the connections are called as ligaments and the tendons. What is the function of this dense regular connective tissue? These are connects the muscles to the bones. So these are present at the two ends of the bones. Therefore these connects. What is the function of these muscles here? These connects the bones to the muscles. The muscles which are present here, that will be connected by the dense regular connective tissue. Another one type of the connective tissue, it is nothing but skeletal tissue. It is under one type of the connective tissue. These are present at the joints. These are also present at the joints and called as cartilages. You have to remember these two tissues, that is skeletal tissue and also the dense regular connective tissue are also present at the two joints of the bones. So these are present at the joints and called as cartilages, which smoothens the surface of the bones at joints. So these helps to connect the bones. These tissues, dense regular connective tissues, are helpful to connect the tissues with the muscles here, but these skeletal tissues are helpful for to smoothen the surface of the bones. Why? Because these are present at the connections. So the actions are continuous here, the movement of the bones are continuous here, therefore these are helpful to smoothen the end point of the bones. Therefore these cartilages are smoothens the surface of the bones at the joints. And the under one type of the connective tissue, that is nothing but the fluid tissue. These fluid tissues are nothing but the blood. So as I told already in the today's session at the starting of this lesson, the blood, it is the one type of the connective tissue. These bloods contains of a matrix which contains the RBCs and the WBCs. What are RBCs? What are WBCs? RBCs means red blood cells and WBCs are white blood cells. So the another one type of the connective tissue, it is nothing but the blood. It consists of the matrix called plasma. In this plasma, the RBCs and WBCs are present. What is the function of the blood? As I told already, the blood transports gases, digested food materials, hormones and waste materials to the different part of the body. So what is the function? The blood transports the gases, digested food materials, hormones, waste materials to the different part of the body. This is all about the types of the connective tissues. And now I am going to discuss another one type of the animal tissue, that is nothing but muscular tissue. So under one type of the animal tissue, that is nothing but muscular tissue. So what are muscular tissue? These are consist of elongated cells, also called as muscle fibers. These are elongated cells. These are consist of elongated cells and also called it as muscle fibers. These tissues are responsible for movement of the body. See here, these muscular tissues, the word itself says muscular tissues means the tissues present in the muscles. The muscles are the main responsible for the movement of the body, which we are going to move our hand, move our leg, move our head, isn't it? For all these movement of our body organs, the main reason behind that, it is nothing but the main responsible, that is nothing but the muscular tissues. These consist of elongated cells also called as a muscle fibers. These tissues are responsible for the movement of the body. Now we can study the types of the muscular tissues. There are two types of the muscular tissues which we are going to see here, that are voluntary muscles and involuntary muscles. See here, in our body there are two movements are present. One it is voluntary movement, and other one it is a involuntary movement. The voluntary muscles are helpful for the voluntary movement, and involuntary muscles are helpful for the involuntary movement. For example, if I wish to raise my hand, yes, the hand will be raised with the help of the voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles are going to be work with our sense, but involuntary muscles, these are not work with our sense. It will be continuous because these are the involuntary actions. For example, heart beating, isn't it? And the motion of the food material inside our esophagus by the contraction and extraction of the esophagus, the food will be continuously moved through the alimentary canal. The movement of the food inside the esophagus by the help of the esophagus, it is an involuntary action. So in that involuntary action, the involuntary muscles are present, and in the voluntary actions, the voluntary muscles are helpful. So now study what are that voluntary muscles, where they are present. Some of the muscles will move with our conscious. Such muscles are called as a voluntary muscles. Some muscles are going to move with our conscious with the help of our action. So I take my brain takes the action to raise my hand, then only the muscles moves here. So this is a voluntary action with the help of the conscious here. So some of the muscles will move with our conscious. Such muscles are called as a voluntary muscles. For example, muscles present in our limb, that is also voluntary muscle here. So and next, another one type of the muscular tissue, it is nothing but involuntary muscles. Muscles which performs the involuntary actions are called as involuntary muscles. The movements of the heart, one of the example here, movement of the heart. So the muscles which are present in the heart, that are involuntary muscles. And also muscles which are present in the iris. The iris, it is a glass like structure which is present in our eye, that will increases the size and decreases the size. The motion of that, the changing of that eyesight, that changing of that iris, it is an involuntary action that will be not controlled by us, that will be not controlled by our mind. It is an involuntary action. In such involuntary actions, the involuntary muscles are helpful here. So that actions are called it as an involuntary actions. These muscles are present in the iris of the eye, the ureter, and in the bronchi, etc. In the other parts of the body, these involuntary muscles are present. So this is all about the third types of the animal tissues, that is nothing but muscular tissue. And the remaining one tissue, which is that is nothing but the nervous tissue. We can study now the nervous tissues. These tissues transfers the stimuli to one part of the body to the other part of the body very quickly. These nervous tissues which are present in our body, they transfers the stimuli. Stimuli, it is nothing but a message. For example, if you are imagine that you are walking on a road. If you are if you are got bite by any insect, then suddenly you are going to raise your hand, or you are going to raise your leg, isn't it? If the insect bites to your leg, you are going to raise your leg. The message sent by the leg towards your brain, that will be carried by these nervous tissue, because they carries that message very quickly. So that message, it is nothing but stimuli. We are going to call it as, in a biological word, the message will be called it as a stimuli. So these nervous tissues transfers the stimuli to one part of the body to the other part very quickly. The brain, spinal cord, nerves are composed of nervous tissues. So these nervous tissues composed of, what are the parts in the nervous tissues which we are going to see here? The brain, spinal cord, and the nerves these are composed in the nervous tissues. And the cells of the nervous tissues, are called it as a nerve cells, or the neurons. The cells which are present in the nervous tissues are called it as a nerve cells are the neurons. Now we are going to study the structure of the neuron, how the structure of the neuron is present. See, now it is the structure of the neuron. The structure of the neuron contains a cell body with a nucleus, and it ends with the hairy-like structures that are called as a dendrites, and one long elongated dendrite will be run towards end part, that it will be called it as an axon. So the nucleus is present at the center of the neuron cell. So these neuron cells are present at all the parts of the nerves, and they are get connected to each other. These dendrites are going to receive the stimuli from the part of our body, and that stimuli or that message will be passed towards the axon, and these end point of that neuron are connected to the under one nerve. Through the neuron receives the message, or the neuron accepts the stimuli from these dendrites, and that stimuli will be passes through the axon, and that will be ends at the nerve ending. See, these nerve endings are get connected to the under one neuron. So that under neuron, and again that will receive the message comes from the neuron cell from the nerve ending, and that will be passes like that. The message or the stimuli comes from the neuron that will be reaches our brain. So this is how the neuron going to be work here. So with the help of the neuron, large amount of the stimuli or the messages are going to be reaches our brain, and the actions are going to be happened here. So this is under one type of the animal cells and animal tissues that are nothing but nervous tissues. So in this session we discussed about the different types of the animal tissues, that epithelial tissues, muscular tissues, nervous tissues, and connective tissues, isn't it? These are all types of the tissues we studied in this session, and this completes your under one most important chapter, that is nothing but the tissue. In next session we are going to continue your under one new lesson. Thank you.